Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing another Walking Dead video for today, leading up to the 9th season for the Walking Dead television series. In this one, we're going to give our thoughts on the kind of theories about the possibility of Rick actually crossing over into Fear the Walking Dead, or maybe actually surviving, but somehow Andrew Lincoln leaving the Walking Dead series itself in Season 9. Alright, man, so still continuing with all of these videos, been doing in the last week. I'll have lots more in the end screen credits for you guys here at the end of this video. If you missed any of the ones from last week, I mean, tons of stuff. For example, the Norman Reedus posting a picture of Daryl hugging Rick. I got a video on that in the channel, so if you missed that, check that out. The possibility of it being the end of the series in Season 9, that video's in the channel, check that one out. I mean, just all kinds of stuff about this whole kind of change, Carl, and how he may have affected things, with him being killed off in Season 8, Daryl taking over lead. So there are tons of stuff in the channel for you guys with regards to this whole Andrew Lincoln leaving the Walking Dead thing. All the different discussion topics, different, ways this could affect the series. Could it end the show? Just all kinds of stuff to discuss. Have videos for pretty much anything you can just about, think of at this point, almost, but maybe not entirely, since I do have lots more coming for you guys as well, too, because I do still think it's such a controversial thing to kind of discuss and wrap our heads around. How can The Walking Dead exist without Rick? How can it continue without Rick? Does it end without Rick? And of course, with this topic here today, which is, because Andrew Lincoln is leaving, is it possible that in some way the character of Rick doesn't die? So is it possible that he could maybe go to Fear the Walking Dead, and you could have him cross over to that, and that's why he's leaving the original series, is to cross over into Fear, to go with maybe him and Michonne leave with Morgan to join some other group or something for a little while. I mean, it's like saying anything's possible. We can say anything is possible, right? We can't say for sure. But really, to me, do I think it would be totally fruitless to have someone like, and I'll put the link in the description to the comicbook.com, article on this for you guys so you can check it out. But do I think it would be totally pointless to have Rick cross over from The Walking Dead into Fear the same way Morgan did? Absolutely. I mean, I just think that would be absolutely crazy or insane, and to me it doesn't make any sense. And again, we can't say like it's impossible, could never happen, but I don't like the idea at all. You have to have Rick there to lead the original Walking Dead series, and Fear the Walking Dead is not something like, would you want to damage or risk damaging the original Walking Dead series in order to pump Fear even more in, let's say, Fear the Walking Dead Season 5? My opinion of this is simply that, as cool as that might sound to see something like that, and how it would help Fear out so much, it would damage the original Walking Dead series, which is really AMC's bread and butter. Fear the Walking Dead is basically a companion series, or I like to think of it as an add-on series, something additional they can do, like Talking Dead, and it stands on its own pretty damn well as a series, even though it's had a lot of help recently with, of course, a certain character leaving this season, and them having Morgan do the crossover. So Morgan crossing over was enough by itself, right? When you cross Morgan into Fear, you're taking out a Season 1 survivor from the original Walking Dead series, have him going into Fear in order to help Fear out, which I think it has done greatly, and it really worked to do that. We've got lots of great stuff happening in Fear this season with Fear the Walking Dead Season 4. So I'm glad they did that. But certainly with Rick leaving from the original series, or with Andrew Lincoln leaving, it really makes you think like, oh man, should they have done it? Should they have crossed Morgan over? Because it's kind of taken one from the original series, given it to Fear. And while I know they have a lot of characters in the original Walking Dead series, it's still going to feel like there's a huge void if Rick is killed off this season or if he leaves. So do I think AMC would do something like this and have Rick cross over into Fear? They do have Scott Gimple now as kind of the overarching, sort of creative, I want to say like director or overall kind of manager for the Walking Dead series, creative top guy with whatever you want to insert fancy title here, right? He's the top dude for Walking Dead television series universe, be it Fear, The Walking Dead and kind of how the shows work together, crossovers and things like this, is all going to go through him. But do I think we could be seeing a Rick crossover into Fear, something like that, and this whole thing kind of be some kind of like I don't know, journey that Rick goes out on to see if he can find Morgan or something with Michonne. Maybe, okay, so this would be like the idea. Maybe you have Rick, you have the time skip, he builds up the communities are really strong, everybody's doing well, and then you have Rick decide that he's going to go see if he can find Morgan again, so him and Michonne kind of head out on their own, just the two of them, to see if they can locate or find Morgan. What do you guys think about that? Leave a comment below. To me, as a theory, it just feels like something that is such a stretch that it's really not what I'm thinking we're seeing right now. I really don't think that they would do that of their own accord, like AMC would decide to want to do that and have something like that happen. So personally, I'm just going to say I don't like the idea. I don't like the theory of Rick going to Fear. I don't think it would make sense for them to want to do it, and even though I'm not going to sit here and say it's impossible, there's no way they would ever do it. If it was my decision, I would never do it, and that's the thing, right? If you guys were working for, let's say, AMC, and you were in these discussions to what they're going to do with the series, do you think it would be a good idea to have to pull Rick from the original series and put him in Fear? I don't think so. Personally, I don't think so. Again, let me know what you guys think about this kind of idea. Leave a comment below, but I personally hate it. I really don't think they would do it, and I really can't see them wanting to do it. It's just such a crazy, far out there kind of nutty idea that I pretty much throw it out entirely myself. But the other possibility, and people have asked questions like this in the comments, is could we see a happy ending for Rick, and after the communities are rebuilt, maybe have Rick and Michonne decide to kind of leave the group, let them run it themselves, and kind of go, I don't know, zombie apocalypse, retire somewhere, go find a house, survive on their own, and just kind of lay low and live out the rest of their lives that way after they rebuilt the new world, right? I'd love to see Rick ride off into the sunset and have a happy ending for him, with Michonne maybe, and have them survive, and then have the two of them maybe leave the series because they've left the original bigger groups, gone off to survive on their own and just make it by themselves. But do I think that's how Andrew Lincoln would leave The Walking Dead? That'd be really cool if you could see something like that. But I just tend to think does it make sense? I don't know. I mean, I guess you could do it. He builds up the communities. He decides his work here is done, and then him and her are going to go off on their own and just kind of, survive out, lay low the rest of their time, and kind of just do that. I would say living on your own would probably be even more difficult than kind of staying in a community like that. So really, I tend to kind of say and think that any kind of happy ending here for Rick is probably not going to happen. The idea of him crossing over into Fear, I don't think makes sense. And all in all, the only possibility I really see for Andrew Lincoln leaving the series is for him to be killed off as Rick. That's it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm lacking vision. You guys can let me know. Leave a comment below on what you think. With Andrew Lincoln leaving, do you see any possibility that he could somehow have a happy ending and just leave the group and leave the story in that way? Or, do you think they'd want to pull him into Fear? I'm just saying, for both ideas, for both theories, I don't like them. And I think basically the only way you can go is you either end the series with a happy ending this season at the end, with Rick surviving, or you kill Rick off at some point. But yeah, certainly leave your comments. Let me know what you guys think. Just how are you feeling about this one? And am I being narrow-minded in saying that I think the only way this can really work is to kill him off? Otherwise, you don't see any other possibilities. That's basically where I'm at. Is I don't see any other possibilities really for this one. We'll get into some of the Q&A questions for today, because that was one of them that we just we answered. A lot of people had sent that one through or discussed that one. Headwork says Trev in the denial stage of grief. So that was when I did the video on how killing Rick off could work, and I think a lot of people, and again, that'll be in the end video screen for you guys here. If you missed that one, that's an important one, I think, of how killing Rick off could actually go here and what this could actually look like and the possible outcomes of that. So is it possible that killing Rick off could actually reinvigorate the show, change things up, reinvent it, and somehow even possibly help the series? Most likely not. And when I did that video too for Headwork here, saying I'm in denial, that's not really, doesn't make, what you're saying doesn't make sense, because I'm not in denial. I recognize the series is basically in peril with Andrew Lincoln leaving. There's no denial there. What we're basically doing in that video is we're going through the scenario and trying to look at this and say, is one of the possible outcomes positive for the series, in that it would be basically anew again. Like you would have, you'd break that monotony and people being used to seeing Rick and kind of break out of that with something totally different and totally new. And one thing I've learned over the years, especially from doing YouTube predictions and also other things I've been involved with, is you can never predict 100% how things are going to go. And if you think that you're sure you've got the answer 100%, you're lying to yourself. The future is not knowable. You cannot know 100%. You can do a prediction, and that's great. That's fine. I've been doing that for many, many years now through the channel here and in other things I've been involved with. The first kind of idea that comes to everyone's mind is it's over. That's it. It's done, right? But, again, like I just said, you can't know for sure, and also the possibility that it could actually get so much hype back into The Walking Dead and kind of reinvigorate the series and doing something like that. Of course, I'd have to lean in terms of a prediction towards it hurting the series. Of course, I think we all can agree, the prediction we should go in with, the expectancy we should go in with, is most likely it's going to hurt the series to have Rick be killed off. And a lot of people will turn off after that because they will be kind of rejecting of it, and they might might just turn off. So for sure that's true, but we can't also not discuss or not cover the possibility that it could actually even get so much attention and be all over the news. It already is. All over the news, and you CNN covering it, this kind of thing. Huge news, and really bringing a lot of attention to The Walking Dead. To actually get to see those episodes where you kill Rick off, that's going to bring a lot of attention for those episodes. Now, after that, it really depends. What can they come up with, and how can they kind of hook those viewers and keep people watching after Rick is killed and keep them wanting to come back rather than turning off? That remains to be seen, and we'll see if they can do it. Odds are against them, I think. And I think that's really what we're saying here. But we shouldn't say 100% this is how it's going to be. It's going to kill the show for sure, and I know that 100%. The future doesn't work that way. You cannot be certain that it's going to die out 100%, and you can't be certain that it's going to be, great either. You have to go in with some kind of expectancy, and that's basically what we're looking at here. Is we're kind of expecting it to hurt the show. Hopefully it doesn't kill the show entirely, but, it might. So we'll see. And then there's also the small chance, and I do think it's a small chance, that it could actually pump the show and get people interested in the show again. Although I do think it is unlikely. I Love Memes says, does the show count as a character for the death predictions? So in the death predictions video I did this week, a lot of people just saying the show, The Walking Dead itself, The Walking Dead's going to die itself. It's like, yeah, I hear what you guys are saying. Yeah, that's there's a possibility for sure. Mark Harrison says, what if now, hear me out, what if they're trolling us just for us to hype up his death? Then we watch all the episodes, season ends, then we have been bamboozled. Just a thought, but I feel like he will die or go missing. So going missing, I guess, is another idea. It's not something I'd ever thought about. You kind of have to provide audiences with an answer at some point. If you do the missing thing, he's got to come back later for another season, right? So while it is possible, while he could be leaving for a season or two or something and come back later, I don't know how I feel about it, man. The audience, that would certainly have people glued to want to see, but you have to answer it later then, and he's got to agree to come back at some point. From all the information I've seen so far, it sounds like he wants to leave for sure. But the first part of your point is true, is that we still don't know 100% if this is legit, and we all have to acknowledge that as well too. This could all be just bunk or some kind of misunderstanding or some kind of something. But right now, from everything I've seen, again, I would lean towards heavily it being legit after all the talk and everything that's been happening, it just being so widespread. I tend to think that if it wasn't true, they might come out and squash it, and they haven't done that. Unless they just want to see us all squirm, right? But there's still a slight possibility that it could be untrue, and that he could still be in the show. Now, that part you can say I could be in denial, Headwork. But again, you can never know these things for sure. Fiechterbunny says, Trev, do you think it's possible AMC is doing this on purpose just to bring back attention to The Walking Dead? Because if they are, it worked. I'm holding on to any hope that Rick will stay in the show, and I believe this may be true. And again, similar type of comment from Fiechterbunny. And, you know, is it possible? It's possible. I don't think they would do something like that, you know, but you never know. And, yeah, man, you really never know. So right now I'm thinking it is true, but, you know, there's other rumors I've seen over the years that got really big and then turned out to be false. So it's also possible that it could end up being false in the end. I hope so, but right now it really doesn't seem like it. Nicholas Deserto says, The Walking Dead may die, but Trev's Chan 2 still lives. Who's with me? So thanks, dude. I appreciate the comment, and I'd like to think so. I'd like to hope so, that even if The Walking Dead ends, that I can still continue on you know, YouTube here with you guys, and we'll see how that goes again. You know, future not being knowable. Just have to do the best that we can and see what happens. A couple more. James W. says, does Judith count as a season 1 character despite being in her mom's belly? If not, Tara is 4th place in seniority in the show, and that's sad. So, you know, I mean, I guess, you know, I haven't counted myself, but I'll take your word for it, James. But do I think Judith should count as a season 1 character? No, I don't think she should count, even though there was Shane and Laurie and then Rick coming in. Yeah, but I hear what you're saying. It's kind of funny, but I don't think we should count that. And the last one for now will be from Elliot Roger, who says, LOL, now Deny is most likely leaving too. Looks like The Walking Dead will now become a Daryl spinoff filled with 40 minutes of grunts. So that's a big question. You know, that's one of the biggest questions after all this news is how does that affect Denai Guerrero? Because, you know, Andrew Lincoln being Rick and them being in such a close relationship, you know, a lot of us were predicting we might see them even get married during this time skip or something like that, and I thought that would be really cool to see. But with him gone, is she going to stay? You know, is she going to still be there as Michonne for a couple more years after Rick has already been killed off? And that is a huge question. I can say this with honesty. I never would have thought that Michonne would outlive Rick. I never thought that. That's absolutely crazy, man. Absolutely. So, okay, one last one. Hacks at 5150 says, I wish Andrew the best, but does anyone remember Jack from Lost? You know, the show Althea came from. He was a big deal on Lost, but after that, he never could get his career off the ground. I really hope Andy has thought this through. It would be a waste of his talent to go back to England and just, you know, sip tea and retire or something like that. Well, you know, I mean, honestly, I know Lost was a big deal. Lost was a pretty big series, but I don't think you can put anyone in Lost on the same level as a character or in notoriety and popularity as Andrew Lincoln as Rick. I mean, literally, if you know, if you put him in his you know, season, in his kind of attire he wears for The Walking Dead, let's say, be it season whatever, it doesn't matter, even a jacket or season 5 or whatever with a beard, and he went walking down a street anywhere in the United States. I mean, you know, if he walked for an hour, I bet you he would have 10,000 people or at least 1,000 people asking for an autograph on the way. He is so recognizable. I know there are a lot of people from Lost that are, and I don't want to bash on Lost or say it was never as big as Walking Dead. But the character of Rick, you know, being on all the covers, you know, season 1, the way it started, everything, I mean, he is so recognizable to people. He is absolutely huge. So I don't think we can really compare him to other, you know, typecasting is a deal. Typecasting does occur. But I think that he's such a good actor that he could rise above that without any trouble and get some awesome roles. I mean, some of the roles he could get, you know, big-time movie roles or leading another series, like maybe Lord of the Rings or something, as that's just starting to be put into production now. I mean, I honestly don't think that that he would be somebody that would have any trouble finding something to do after Walking Dead. I think absolutely everyone would want him after this if he leaves this year. So those are pretty much my thoughts for all these questions for today, guys. Let me know what you think. Possibilities. Is there any way you see this go where Andrew Lincoln could somehow leave and they could either have a happy ending for Rick could somehow leave, go missing, or end up switching to Fear the Walking Dead or something? Let me know what you guys think. And if you liked this video, please like it. Please thumb it up below. You can also subscribe at the bottom left if you're new and you want to see lots more Walking Dead videos from me. That's it for this one, guys. We'll see you again soon for another. As always, this is Trev, and I'm saying peace. Later, guys. See you soon.